Imagine standing at the edge of a steaming crater, sulfur rising in ribbons, the air thick with the smell of brimstone, and elders murmuring that beyond the mist is another world. Across Asia, valleys, rocks, and caves are not merely landscape, they are thresholds. Locals point to them with reverence and fear, insisting these are places where the living brush up against the realm of spirits. Today we travel to three of those thresholds: the lantern-marked Chochin-iwa in Japan, the eerie calderas of Mount Osore, and the deep, river-cut caves of the Phayanak along the Mekong. Each is a doorway in stone, steam, and story. Our first stop is a coastal outcrop known locally as Chochin-iwa, Lantern Rock. Perched along a rugged shoreline, the rock wears weathered hollows that hold small oil lamps and paper lanterns. Fishermen and pilgrims leave offerings here: coins, tied strips of cloth, tiny votive figures. The lanterns are not decorative. In folk memory, they light the path for souls traveling from sea to afterlife, guiding lost spirits away from the living. The rock's name itself is a promise and a warning. Enter its shadow at the right moment, or the wrong one, and you may glimpse the thin boundary between realms. Chochin-iwa's power comes from the sea. For centuries, maritime communities linked storms, drownings, and unexpected deaths to the whims of sea-bound spirits. Lantern Rock became a focal point of ritual. On specific nights, villagers would gather to light lanterns, chant, and send offerings into the waves. The ceremonies blend gratitude, negotiation, and remembrance. It's a living tradition, one that demonstrates how geography can anchor belief, turning a solitary rock into a communal threshold. A very different, yet equally potent threshold is Mount Osore in northern Japan. The name translates roughly as Mount Fear, and the crater landscape makes the name fit. Sulfurous steam vents hiss from fissures, pools bubble with chemical tints, and skeletal trees stand like charred sentinels. Local lore describes Mount Osore as a gateway to the Underworld, a place where spirits gather and where grieving families come to leave messages for the dead. Tempers of the site are contained by a Buddhist temple complex that sits near the crater's edge. Priests perform rites for restless souls, and mediums occasionally claim to receive messages from beyond. For the bereaved, this is less theatrical than essential. Mount Osore offers a ritual space to externalize grief and hope. Pilgrims bring letters to the dead, tie them to stones, or have them read aloud. The site's physical harshness, the acid-stained ground, the constant fumaroles, reinforces the idea that this is not ordinary terrain, but a liminal zone, a roughened border between life and whatever comes after. Our journey then follows a water-bound route to the Mekong, where the Phayanak caves carve shadows into river cliffs. These caverns are cool and deep, fed by the river's pulse, and locals regard them as entrances to the spirit world. Fisherfolk and river traders tell stories of lights seen moving beneath the water, of voices heard from dark mouths of rock. Offerings are left at cave mouths: rice, betel, small statuettes, tokens asking safe passage or a favor from whatever dwells within. These caves occupy a different kind of liminality. Where Mount Osore is raw and volcanic, the Phayanak are erosive and ancient, shaped by centuries of river flow. Their darkness is not theatrical steam, but the slow wearing away of stone. And yet the human response is the same: to map meaning onto voids and to treat deep shadows as places where the visible world thins. Across these sites, several themes recur. Thresholds are often located at edges, shorelines, craters, river mouths, places where elements meet and the landscape is unsettled. Communities build rituals to negotiate those edges, transforming fear into practice, grief into ceremony. The physical characteristics of each site, light and shadow on Chochin-iwa, steam and decay at Mount Osore, the submerged mouths of the Phayanak, provide a sensory vocabulary for belief. Visiting these gateways, one feels both the particularity of each place and a shared human inclination to see the world not as a uniform expanse, but as a patchwork of doors. Whether lantern-lit rock, sulfurous caldera, or river cave, these thresholds connect the living to stories that matter. They remind us that landscapes carry memory, and that in certain corners of the earth, a lamp, a prayer, or a tied ribbon still marks the place where one world leans close to another.